To start a manual profile, click the plus button in the bottom right. First thing, it asks for snowpack height, and then SnowPit depth if that's different than height. And then that brings you to main editing screen. Plus down here adds layers, minus will delete them. If you click on a layer, you can drag side to side to set the hardness. If you can drag up and down to set the depth of the layer. If you tap on a layer, you can see these yellow dots changing. That edits either the top interface, the bottom interface, or both interfaces of the layer. So if you want to increasing hardness or decreasing hardness, you can do that. If you have a really thin layer, it's sometimes hard to actually tap on the layer, so that's what this little button on the side is. You can click these up and down layers to cycle through layers, so you can select little thin ones. You can add test results up here through this test result menu. Right now it's just ECT, CT, and PST. Mess around with changing options in there. What else? You can edit layer information here, so I can select from layer titles. This will save layer titles of things I've named layers in the past. So if I, had named a layer and I want to tag that across multiple profiles, it will be a drop-down. And using that drop-down and that same name will allow me to search for profiles by layer if I wanted to. I can add grains. You can tag it as a layer of concern. I can add notes, play around with that menu. Also on these layers, if you want more precision than just dragging, you can come up here and you can type in the layer height and stuff. If you need to change your SnowPit height or your SnowPit depth, afterwards you click on that bottom left HS down there to change that. Just mess around with kind of the different functionality in here, see what you think, see what's easy to use. You can also change up here profile settings if you want to view the more traditional right axis and hardness profile, or height versus depth here. If it gets really confusing, you can hide your annotations, your SnowPit results, and things like that. And then hit save to save it. It'll pop up here, and then another function you can play with is exporting. So you click this little export button in the bottom right. You can export this as a PDF, and it'll output it in a bit of a different format, which can be nice to look at. And then you can also add additional information with this bottom arrow. You can add aspect, elevation, and elevation will tag automatically eventually from just your location, but slope, angle, aspect, comments for the general pit, things like that. So mess around with it, see what you think. There's going to be other functionality in here that isn't going to be super relevant until you have multiple profiles, like showing all your profiles on a map. You can filter your profiles by time, distance, elevation, who created them, aspect. And then there's some other functionality in this main menu that only really applies if you have a scope probe, so not super applicable to this manual profile, but just want to make sure that doesn't confuse people as well. So play around.